We're talking about the key things to know while going through a divorce and keeping your finances in check. I'm Raul Jimenez with the Schrader Group, and this is Cleo Garza with Summit Funding, who is an expert in the field when it comes to making complex financial decisions. So we're going to jump in. So Cleo, what are some of the top financial considerations to think about when you're going through a divorce?
So when you're going through a divorce, and I used to not be able to say this, but after being married for 30 years, I personally went through a divorce. And so this topic here really resonates with me because now I can actually say I've gone through this myself personally.
Right.
But one of the things that I suggest, which is often missed, is that the divorcing parties, they each get a credit report, okay? A tri-merge with both of them on it, and then we can separate it, okay? So the purpose of doing that is to determine what debts belong to who, what debts were incurred, pre-divorce, during divorce, so that way they can separate the debts, correctly and not leave one spouse or the other on the hook, if you will, for a debt that perhaps they not be responsible.
So you just hit something that I was thinking about. A lot of people are like, okay, well, we're going through this divorce. I want to protect myself. And then, the other party wants to protect them. Or what would be the best thing to tell our viewers? What would be some of the things you would do to just protect yourself, just to make sure that nothing gets crazy, credits don't get ruined?
Right. Transparency is the key, right? So one or both parties can request or demand that a credit report be provided for what they would call discovery. You go through the divorce process, go through discovery, and a credit report is essential, I believe. And there you can just tell in writing, what is owed to who, when was the account open, who do we need to take off as an authorized user, things of that nature. All that is really important so that they can stay financially whole or as whole as possible, right? So that's something that they can do for sure. And I'm happy to help them get a copy of the credit report if they'd like.
So when you're going through the divorce and everything's kind of finalized, does it impact someone's credit score? I mean, how do they go about navigating, say, hey, we want to start the next chapter of our lives and I'm ready to buy? Like, what should I be worried about?
The folks who get a credit report and are transparent with their finances during discovery, they send in all their bank statements and, they're obviously made all parties aware of their debts. If they can do that up front, their scores won't change a bit
At all.
It's the people who don't do that who will see a negative impact potentially in their credit scores, which impacts their ability to buy, the interest they're going to pay on whatever they purchase on credit down the road.
So then that's leading into my next question. What are some of those common mistakes people make, and then now their scores are impacted, and now they got to wait a year or two before they can buy?
Some of those mistakes are, properly separating the assets.
Okay.
So that they have, credit cards together or automobile loans together. Then they should refinance the vehicles into the names of the person who's keeping it. That's one way to do it. Removing themselves from the account of a debt that is going to be carried by the departing spouse who's going to assume that debt. Those are some of the things that they can do to protect themselves, so they can feel like they're once the divorce is over, then not only are they no longer married, but they're financially divorced as well.
That's key. So with that being said, what happens if the family home is up for take and say one of the spouses wants to purchase it? How does that process work?
Okay, so that happens a lot, and a lot of buyers don't know this, but one of the departing spouse can relinquish their right to the home and with an old T lien. It's essentially a loan where the spouse keeping the home can refinance the home. And this is not any kind of equity loan or a loan that's going to be like a cash out type where you pay off the departing spouse. You are paying them off, but it's an old T lien and it's treated as just a regular refinance, like a rate and term refinance. When the divorce is final and we have a divorce decree, it's recorded at the county level, then we can refinance the home and, of course, prior to all this, determine the value of it, and we can pay off the departing spouse with their portion of the equity due with an old T lien.
Right.
And so that person who wants to keep the home can remove them from the deed of trust and get them the equity, their portion of the equity in the home. You can go as high as 95% on that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And that's key, because I think a lot of times people are like, well, what is my house worth? But you say that process, y'all get an appraisal.
Yes.
So you kind of figure out where everything is. Because at that point in the game, everyone wants the best for the other party. So they want to make sure that everyone's playing equally. And you guys ensure that by the appraisal. Mm-hmm. So let's just talk post-divorce, okay? So let's just say we're going through the process and we want to see, we're making a big financial decision. What advice would you give preparing to get a mortgage after divorce?
Document everything, obviously, right? Keep your divorce decree handy. The final version is probably the most important. Mm-hmm. All of your, obviously your bank statements, your income statements, W-2s, just the basic things that you would need for anyone who wants to buy a home. But once your divorce is final, then you can start looking for a home whenever it is that you want, so long as you qualify.
So divorce isn't the end all, right? I mean, it's starting the new chapter,
right?
But the divorce being final is a big key. And what is your biggest advice that you would take to balancing the divorce and the major financial decisions and everything like that? Like, let's just say I know I want to buy. What kind of guidance would you give, or would you look at their situation and just kind of say, this is what I suggest?
Right. First things first, I would say that I would go back to what I said something earlier about buyers being like a snowflake. They all have their own design and they're all unique, right? So I would suggest they visit with me. Let me look at their situation and let me guide them as to what it is that they can do moving forward so they can, in fact, successfully purchase a home after divorce, right? And so one of those things I would say is, if for anybody watching and wants to know what they think they should do, make money, save money, focus on work, focus on saving whatever you can, so that you can move on to that next stage of your life and buy a home. That's what I think a lot of married couples who are going through the process worry about is, can I buy a home again? Well, as long as you qualify, the answer is yes. Okay.
So Cleo, great information. How do the viewers find you and locate you and get further information to get in contact?
Sure. Well, personally, I prefer that the client just call me. I don't want to do anything on the internet or go to a website. Call me. Let's schedule initial conversation, and from there we'll move on to hopefully an in-person conversation, a loan application, so I can determine what they qualify for, and get them on the road. So they can just call me. I prefer to have that one-on-one connection. After going through something like a divorce, there's so much more that a lender needs to know than just going on the application and filling it out.
Cleo, thank you so much for joining, and thank you all for viewing back at home. If you found this video useful, please share, subscribe, and comment. For more real estate advice, please feel free to reach out. If not, thank you all and have a blessed day.